Hi everyone, and welcome back. This is Tanush here, and this is our fourth and final video in the Resilience Under Pressure series. In weeks 2 and 3, we were working with the activation of our nervous system, that spike, the surge, that tension that comes with acute and sustained stress. We covered tools for those moments and ways to restore yourself on a daily basis so that the stress doesn't just accumulate. On the other end of that spectrum is one that often goes unrecognized. Sometimes, after the nervous system has been under pressure for a long time, it doesn't spike, it just goes quiet. And you might feel flat, heavy, or disconnected. You may feel like you've got low motivation, low energy, and an emotional numbness where things that should or would normally matter no longer do. If you've been feeling that lately, I want you to know that this is not a weakness and it's not a character flaw. It's simply your nervous system doing exactly what our nervous systems are supposed to do when they've carried too much for too long. It's a protective response. And just like anxiety or tension, it can be shifted. And that's what this week is about. You may remember from the webinar, we explored bilateral stimulation, alternating between the left and right activation in the body. The reason this works is that it helps the brain and nervous system process and integrate what's being held. It's used in trauma therapy for good reason. For flatness specifically, the bilateral movement activates both the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And it's particularly useful because it gently reactivates a system that's gone quiet without overwhelming it. So it's more like a gentle nudge that says, I'm still here. So keep that in mind as we go through this week's toolkit, because several of these practices work through that same principle. So this week, I'm going to share a range of tools with you. Some of these you can start doing right away, and others I'd encourage you to research and explore a little bit more, or find someone that can properly guide you. I'll let you know as we go through the list. So let's start with movement-based options. The first is shaking or tremoring. This might sound unusual, but your body has a natural mechanism for discharging accumulated stress and tension, and it works entirely below the cognitive level. You don't need to think your way through it. There's a practice called TRE, tension and trauma releasing exercises. You can do a Google or YouTube search, and if it's something that resonates with you, I would very highly encourage you to find a trained TRE practitioner rather than attempting to do it on your own. It's safe and effective when guided well. Second is stretching with your breath. This is simple, accessible, and more powerful than it sounds. The key is pairing each stretch with a conscious exhale, and that's the moment where your body actually releases. You can do a YouTube search for stretch and breath, yin yoga, or slow yoga, or gentle yoga. There's quite a fair bit of resources online for you to work with. Better yet, if you can find a local class, then you get to do it with the community of like-minded individuals. This type of stretching or yoga targets your deep connective tissue, your fascia, ligaments, and joints. It's slower and more meditative, giving you space to go inwards and tune into your body and your mind. The third is dancing. Free movement. Put on some music and move without any agenda. There's no need for any technique. There's no need to know how to dance. Simply allow your body to move to the beat. And this is genuinely one of the most immediate and accessible ways to shift flatness and bring back a sense of feeling alive. You don't need to be good at it. You just need to try it. Now let's look at a few things that are more energizing and activating. So the fourth tool is cold exposure. A brief cold shower, even just ending your regular shower with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water will activate and energize a flat nervous system in a way that almost nothing else does as quickly. I'm sure just the thought of this can start to feel uncomfortable as it's challenging and creates a gentle or slight shock to your system. So I'd encourage you to start small. just for a quick few seconds. Work your way up to 5 seconds, then the next time round, 10 seconds, then the next time, 20 or 25 seconds, etc. Try it at least once this week and just notice how you feel in the few minutes afterwards. Regular cold exposure also helps build your tolerance to stress. Next, let's look at activating breath work. This is importantly different from the calming breath work that we explored during our sessions. When we're working with stress and activation, the main tool is to use an elongated exhale. That's because the longer exhale signals safety to the nervous system and brings you back to the sense of safety. For flatness, we're doing the opposite. We want to focus more on the inhale or a longer inhale. So there are two techniques worth exploring, and these will be easier for you to look up on YouTube. So you've got some guidance to follow along. So the fifth tool is the breath of fire. This is where you take rapid rhythmic pumping of your exhale through the nose, about 1 to 2 pumps per second, with inhale happening passively in between. So a very sharp exhale with a long, nice, calm, and longer inhale. So doing this even for 30 to 60 seconds will create a noticeable shift. It's intended to be stimulating and activating, and it can work very quickly. The sixth tool is called bellows breath. It's a similar principle, but much fuller and vigorous. Think of it like fanning a flame. It's more activating than the breath of fire, and because of that, I would suggest exploring this with some guidance. A quick search for both on YouTube will give you something to try on your own with a bit of guidance. If you want to pursue the bellows breath, it may be a good idea to find a teacher to be properly guided through your session. The underlying logic for both is that the longer inhale relative to the exhale activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is exactly what the flat system needs. So you're no longer calming yourself down, you're gently waking yourself back up. The next are more expressive and creative tools. So the seventh tool is using music, and not just playing it in the background, but using music that's deliberately chosen for how it makes you feel. We're looking for music that creates movement in you, physically or emotionally. So that might be something rhythmic with a strong beat that your body just wants to respond to, even if it's just tapping your foot or nodding your head to the beat. Nostalgic music, songs that are tied to a very specific memory or a particular time in your life. These can bypass the flatness entirely and drop you straight into a felt sensation. Sound is one of the fastest routes into your nervous system. So simply make a playlist and use it very intentionally. When you're flat, let the music do some of the work to bring you back. The eighth tool is around creative expression. So drawing, writing freely, making something with your hands. Sustained stress tends to quieten the part of our brain that we use to create things with. So giving them something to do is a way of waking your system back up. It doesn't need to be good or pretty. You just need to do something that expresses your creativity. And finally, more relational things. The ninth tool will be laughter and play. Genuine laughter is one of the most effective antidotes to flatness. Not forced, but something genuine. So seek it out deliberately this week. A conversation with someone who makes you laugh, watching or listening to something funny, and simply being around people who bring lightness into the room. The final tool is acts of kindness or contribution. Doing something for someone else, however small, shifts the nervous system out of contraction and into connection. It's very difficult to stay flat when you are genuinely in the service of another person. And there's something about turning outward, even briefly, that has a reactivating effect. Okay, so over the past few weeks, you've been given access to a set of tools for moments when your stress spikes suddenly, and you have daily practices for restoration so the pressure doesn't just compound within you. And now you have ways to address flatness when the system goes quiet. The goal is not to eliminate stress from your life. That's not possible. It's not actually what resilience looks like. The goal is to make sure that you are never without a response to stress. And whatever the nervous system is doing, you now have something that you can work with. So that's what you've built over the last few weeks. That's what resilience looks like in practice. So I want to close by saying a big thank you for joining me on this journey. As doing this kind of work, this sort of inner work takes a lot of courage. So whatever comes next, if from these weeks something stays with you, or you want to go deeper on any of this work, or if you want to reach out to have a conversation, the door is always open and you know where to find me. So until our paths cross again, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Thank you.